All right, leg dominant Wednesday. All right, so they run, walk 400, just send them out, just make them move their bodies for a little bit. Then we got a superset, followed by another superset to prep them. So the first one, the kettlebell RDL pass, this is designed to help them not externally rotate the hips or tilt when they do their RDLs, and it's a very difficult maneuver. So I got 35 here, and it's gonna be tough for me, right? So I'm gonna go opposite arm, opposite leg, inhale, pass, exhale, right? So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to limit my lean. So it's anti-rotation, right? And it's difficult. So inhale, pass, oh, now I messed it up. So opposite hand, opposite leg, inhale, talking too much, not thinking about my reps. So when I go down, it's opposites. So concentric is gonna be samesies, right? Eccentric is gonna be contralateral, okay? So that's one. They can do the next one with a kettlebell or a dumbbell, but it's a lunge to hip flexion, right? So I'm gonna go right hand, right? I'm gonna drop back into my lunge. I'm gonna stand up, and I'm gonna do a hip flexion with my dumbbell right on my thigh. So in the prep specifically, it's really, really important that you have them go as heavy as they can while maintaining the form, and you really get on them about breathing. Because if they bust this out, and I'll tell them all the time, like, this is not a race yet. A race is coming up in about 20 minutes. So chill, right? So they gotta chill and they gotta breathe, and it doesn't work if this is really light. So if this is like a 2 or a 3 pounder, it's not gonna work, right? Load them up. It's still okay to load them up, even though, right? Because when there's stability exercises like this, if it's too light, they're not gonna be forced to activate what they have to activate. They're still gonna compensate, they're still gonna screw it up. So load them to a position where they can do it, but it's challenging. And if they're talking to each other while they're doing these and they're not breathing, then they're not paying attention, they're not doing it right. So if I'm doing this, I'm going, hey, am I doing this right? The answer is no, because you're talking to me. It should be, I gotta go inside and I gotta focus on my movements. Otherwise I topple over because it's hard. Again, this is yoga, right? This is like loaded yoga, okay? So then lateral lunge to instep. Opposite hand, opposite leg. So I'm gonna go over, I'm gonna get the dumbbell towards my instep, flat foot, big arch. Out to the side. Out to the side. You wanna make it more of a stability challenge? Leg up. Leg up. If they're toppling all over the place and they're doing something like this, lighten the weight, shorten the range of motion, and make them focus. See, I'm screwing it up because I'm talking while I'm doing the reps. That's not what they're here to do, right? Talk before class, talk after class, right? Sounding like a real athlete trainer right now. I'm coming off a dick. Like, just work with them, but I'm used to being very authoritarian with my clients. So if they're doing stuff, I kind of tend to treat a lot of people like teenagers. Some people don't like that, right? So there is obviously a lot of flexibility with how you coach. I just like, if you want to do it well and you want to do it right and you want to get results, then do it right. If you want to have fun and talk, then that's personal time, right? This is our time. All right, strength, we got 4 rounds. So front squats and then planks. So they're gonna superset these after the planks. They gotta rest a little bit because the goal is to increase the weight on the front squats every time. So I have goblet squats and I have front squats. So goblet squats, again, don't be afraid to load them up. And if they need a handoff with the kettlebell, right, give them a handoff. Give them something heavy. So if I'm up, right, standard goblet squat, keep the chest up, sink, stand. So with the front squat, since it's front loaded, don't let them do this. That's a hinge, right? Squat, drop those knees forward, right? It's a squat, deep knee bends, right? What happens if I get a little butt wink? What happens if my butt tucks under just a little bit? You're okay. It's a front squat, right? Vertical, compressive loading. The spine's fine. If I butt wink with a back squat, that's shear force loading. That's where it's gonna hurt. So a little bit of butt wink is, you're okay. It's not super heavy yet, right? If they lack dorsiflexion, you can raise their heels. That's with the bar as well. With the barbell, if they have wrist issues, Hollywood squat. Again, it's fine. They don't all have to do cleans. But if they're going to do this and they can't really do this, then I would still want them to do goblet squats, right? And then we can double load a goblet squat. And there's some heavy kettlebells in there. And if you can double load a goblet squat with 70 pounds on each arm, and you can squat that, you're really strong. So there's a lot of different ways to do this, okay? Plank, standard plank position, right? Pushing in, but we're doing it for breaths. The focus this week is really gonna be on teaching them how to breathe, because if they don't breathe, then they don't brace. And if they don't brace, they're gonna work too quickly and intensely, and they're gonna hurt themselves, okay? So forearms are down. Thinking about dragging the elbows to the hip bones, belly button away from floor. And now it says 10 breaths. And your smart asses are gonna be like, okay. They're gonna just, no. The goal is to make the 10 breaths last 60 seconds. So 10 breaths or 60 seconds. If you can do 10 breaths in 90 seconds, you're a real beast. After that, they're gonna take a couple of seconds, probably like 30 seconds in between the round to get some water and then recover, all right? So that's the strength portion, okay? Conditioning, straightforward, go run, right? Run 400, they can't run, row. Then they have overhead lunges, and I'm gonna smoke their legs this time, right? You got 4 rounds of 30 lunges, yeah, right? So if it's too much, put a time cap on it. So something like this, I might say 15-minute time cap, right? So if they're crippled, because it's 120 loaded lunges. I promise them that they're gonna be walking a little funny after this one. So above, right? Single arm. You can alternate it as you please, right? So since it's 30 total, so it's 15 per leg, right? So what you can do is you can do 15 reps and then switch arms, or you could switch it in between rounds. The goal is just make it even at the end of it, right? So lots and lots of lunges. Little trick, just making people sore. Dumbbell sit up, legs straight, dumbbell here, right? So counterbalance, but then the reason why I'm struggling a little bit, right, is because I'm trying to keep this tight to the chest. So the stricter I am by keeping this tighter, the more work it's gonna be on my lower back, right? And I'm talking about that because if you have anterior pelvic tilt, it's gonna be a real pain for you to tuck this, right? So you're fighting your abs against your lower back, curling in, curling up. If I pick my legs up off the ground, I'm cheating. I'm trying to use the weight of my legs, okay? So slow, slow. So just like the goblet squat, the weight is supposed to be a counterbalance to kind of assist but also resist, right? So the main focus on that is to keep their ribs down and then to keep this really rounded lower back position. Because again, there's only gonna be a couple who I would qualify as, from what I've seen, as squat dominant. Almost everybody that I've seen in the program is a hinge dominant athlete, which means they're good at using their lower backs, they all have anterior pelvic tilt, they got weak abs. So by correcting it with something like this, it's gonna be challenging, but this is how we begin to regain function in the sagittal plane. After we do that for about a month or two, then we can start working on other planes, but for right now, this seems to be what we need to work on most, is regaining function in the posterior, basically balancing out the anterior and posterior chains, just making sure that they're both even and opposite. All right, cool down, we got our stretches, pretzel and Spider-Man. So pretzel stretch, opposite leg, opposite arm, right? I'm gonna try to grab and pull that to the ground. We're gonna open up, same thing other side. Hold for 30 to 60 seconds. And then the Spider-Man stretch, right? Right hand, left leg, hand is down, right? Don't twist into it too much. Try to square it up. You can kind of find the position where you feel it most in your quad and in the front of your head. Big deep breaths. That's workout too.